Jenny, are you ready?
I am so
Perfect.
ready.
Thank you. Take it away.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be back in this building. This is actually a building where I got one of my best compliments ever. And you might wonder what, and it's a bit of a wild one. I used to be part, I haven't been there for a while now, sorry about that, but I used to be part of the Battlespace downstairs. And I took part in a welding and plasma cutting course. And the instructor looked at me, the group, and looked at me and said, "Oh dear, have you done this before?" I lived with that, that I've actually looked like I've done welding and plasma cutting before for weeks, I can tell you. My name is Gardner. I have a title, which is a Senior Director for Future Capabilities, Innovation Strategy and Portfolio at Saab, and specifically at a part of Saab called Digital Battlespace Solutions. So what does that mean? It means that I work quite a lot with what we say is the future capabilities. And talking about, for example, TRL levels would be TRL level 7, 8 up to product 9. That's where I kind of work, and it's an extremely interesting area to be in, I would say. So today I'm talking about EMIR1 and the development of maritime communication, and I'm also going to talk a bit about what we do at Saab, and I'm also going to talk a bit about what we see when it comes to development in the space domain. But to start to kind of just talk about this particular EMIR1. EMIR1 is a satellite, and it's not just Saab that's put this satellite into orbit. It's Saab, a company called AAC Battlespace. Used to be a small Swedish company. Today it's a mid-sized Swedish-UK company, and also have offices in other places in the world. And Orbcom, which is an American company. So it's actually a collaboration between 3 different companies. Maritime communication, and I think that's where we come into a lot of what we'll be discussing today. Looking at, for example, if you think about aviation and jet fuel, and how you can actually save jet fuel when you're flying, it's not about, of course, how much you fly, right? But also how you fly. And it's the same when it comes to driving. So, if you optimize your driving routes, and if you drive in a certain way, you can save fuel. And what I'm going to focus on here today is the application of actually being able to save fuel when you're in shipping, because we have a lot of ships on the seas, and if you can save some of that, both fuel and emissions, you can make a lot of change. So, and I also looked up the definition of deep tech, because it's not something I usually talk about every day. And I got this, and Massimo, your definition was so much better. But this was Wikipedia. Deep tech organizations with the objective of providing technology solutions based on substantial scientific or engineering challenges. That was Wikipedia's definition. And I'm going to talk about space development, and that's always a challenge. So I would say that it's defined as deep tech just because of that. Let's see if this works. Yes. So first, a couple of words about Saab. So Saab is a company that started in 1937. It started for a particular reason, and that was to provide Sweden with the defense and to develop aircraft, fighter aircraft. Since then, we have developed quite a portfolio. It's a defense and security company. No, we do not anymore, unfortunately, do the car, but we do quite a lot of different kind of products in this particular area. So we're quite known for our fighter jet, Gripen, for example, but we also do submarines and the A-26. We do sensors, command and control, which is military speak for management system, and quite a lot of advanced weapon systems. We work in all domain. In what we call in the military, we talk about the land domain, the maritime or naval, air, cyber, and space. But we also work with commercial projects, and I'm going to focus on commercial projects today. So this, I think the formatting here got a little bit strange. I didn't start small and go bigger, but I guess that's how it worked out. So I'm just going to say a couple of things about space, and then I'm going to talk about the technology, and I'm going to end to talk about applications. So space, of course, has always been a great challenge for humans. From astronomy, we've been looking up in the sky, thinking, what's out there, to the military space race between the Soviet Union and the US, human space flight, the Apollo mission. We have 10 minutes, it's going really fast, right? But this is some of the hallmarks in space development. The space shuttle, and today we have the International Space Station. Great collaboration for many years. And we have also a new industry called New Space, which is developing space-based services on Earth and in space, and with a profit, not just governmentally funded. So that's kind of basically some of the hallmarks of space development. I wanted also to say something about how we look in the military kind of sphere on space. And I think most countries are quite interested in 4 different applications. One is SDA, which is Space Domain Awareness. That's looking up to see what's going on up above you. Who is, what satellites are kind of looking at you basically, what's above you. Then it's SATCOM, and I think if you follow what's happened in Ukraine, for example, you've seen how important SATCOM can be in certain situations. ISR, that's the other way. You're actually looking down. So you have satellites with different sensors looking down at what's happening on Earth. And finally also PNT, which the GPS is the most well known, which of course is the military invention to begin with, and now is in many civil applications and quite useful. So just a couple of pieces of what we do in space. First of all, Marcus Vandt, our colleague and chief test pilot, just came down from the IS, the International Space Station. Very exciting. The satellites that I'm going to talk about. And then also we include a lot of what we see as space data, for example, for our customers. So just a couple of them, a couple of bits. So now we're coming to the biggest satellite that we sent up. This is EMIR-1, so if anybody wants to know how it looks like, that's how it looks like. What is this then? Well, we have something today called AIS. So it stands for Automatic Identification System, and it means that all the ships on the seas over a certain size, or with passengers, need to have a transponder to say, I'm here. And what does that mean? It means that you can avoid collisions, you can keep track of each other, really important, and we today do a lot of work around AIS. But we now see a new generation, and that's VDES. And that's basically, we can talk about a lot of technology here, but it's basically a radio. So all of a sudden you have a communication system, but it's a I usually kind of say that it's a quite, it's not, you don't stream videos with it, right? It's very focused on IoT. So the capacity is not, it's 32 times more bandwidth than AIS, but it's still quite low capacity compared to a lot of other things. But it's going to be convenient for all the ships over a certain size and the passenger ships to carry. So what does this mean then? What it means today is you see here in the picture that we have a lot of different AIS transponders. It's just like if you think about your mobile phones and the networks, you have base stations and you have transponders. And in the future now, you will actually then have a real kind of radios, and you will even have them in the sky. And having them in the sky means that you can actually use this communication network over and beyond the horizon, which can be really useful when you're in the middle of the sea and something happens. So coming back to the applications, we see this as an extremely interesting application that we will be able to work with the different route optimization systems. About 80% of all cargo these days go on via the shipping via ships. And of those, it talks about more than 12 billion kind of tons. That's the type of statistic that we find. And there are kind of numbers saying that we could save up to 25% of the fuel emission using these type of tools. So yeah, from my perspective, I think this is a really interesting, and then we have lots of other different things we can work with, weather routing, and we can encrypt this, and we can work with maritime safety, etc. But I think starting to talk about deep tech, I think this is really interesting deep tech. And just coming back to your definition, Massimo, I think a really kind of cool thing with deep tech is the impact. And I think this can really have a lot of impact. So that was me. Thank you.
Thank you.